let's go a little to the culture items now. So we said be patient, don't pitch, don't sell. Marty, if you want to join us or if you have a question, please come in. And Andreas, yeah, you're welcome too. Maybe you have some experiences. So anyway, do's and don't do's, culture. Mark.
One thing I still find fascinating is that back the last 4 or 5 years, being in person in Tel Aviv, I found it fascinating how people just pitched their product without knowing to whom. So people were pitching me healthcare stuff that I know nothing about, and I don't know people in healthcare.
Okay.
And they were just like, yeah, here, my product, do something with it. I'm like, sure. What do you want me to do? Well, you can invest. I'm like, I don't invest in healthcare.
Okay.
I'm like, well, we should invest in my product. So just pick who you talk to and know your audience. Don't have the same pitch for everyone. Just do a little bit of recall. Ask some questions first. Show some interest into the other party, and then pretty much adapt your pitch to them.
Mm-hmm.
Germans really like that.
Okay.
Well, I think everybody
everyone likes that. And I think it's saving a lot of time because you're wasting your own time as well, not someone else's problem. So. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Miki, any other insights?
Well, I think I think some people like in Israel are somewhat intimidated by the German culture and maybe even find it a little daunting. I have to say that in my experience, it's much less scary than it appears to be. And as long as like you're direct and honest, I think you will find very like willing and very open and friendly counterparts in Germany. So yeah, like at least from my experience, maybe I was lucky dealing with a particularly friendly subset of the German people, but like from my experience, it was very easygoing, very flowing, very informal, even in many cases. So I think it's best to just jump in, start a conversation, be open, and see where it takes you. Don't over prepare, and don't be artificially formal.
Is there something like you would say I could read about the culture or any source you would say read this or read that or and so you can prepare for culture?
I don't know. We like I don't believe in reading about culture. We pretty much like plunged in. We did the Metro Techstars Accelerator in Berlin back in 2017, and I think this was like a crash course in dealing with with the German culture, but in a friendly environment. So it is in Berlin, and it is Techstars and the nice people from Metro. So it was kind of like a very good introduction into the European market in general and Germany in particular.
So this was sort of so you did have a friendly backing. So maybe that's the advice.
Yeah. Maybe that's the advice. Yeah, go to if like if you're serious about Germany, go to an accelerator in Germany. There are just so many platforms now.
Okay, so Mark, we are smiling because
I know quite a few people from Techstars and Metro, and I was lucky enough to be part of the program on the mentoring side. That was fun, and I smiled because there's a couple of Berliners in that mentoring team and in the Metro team, and Berlin is the scariest place for people usually because people are so rude here.
But are they rude to foreigners or are they?
They're rude to everyone. They don't care. Not in business.
But in a sense, it was like But in a sense, it was I think like closer to Tel Aviv than I think other places in Germany.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like an accelerator in Stuttgart. I don't know how that would work. But yeah, Berlin is a good place to start.
In Stuttgart, most of us from outside of Stuttgart have language barriers, even the Germans.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So, Mickey, you say that the rudeness mark is referring to if you're an Israeli, you don't even notice that. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
that's normal.
like move,
Oh, there are few Israelis in Berlin. They're just not
yeah.
Israelis. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, like moving to a Tel Aviv with like, older buildings, nicer architecture.
Okay, get you. Okay, uh, Mark, any other points for culture?
Culture is a huge difference in buying behavior between the US and Germany. Um, I've seen many people compare the two countries in terms of adoption of new technologies and willingness to test new things right away. So in the US, and I know this firsthand from selling myself in the US, it's much easier to get a foot in the door. So you cold call them, you send them a LinkedIn message or whatever, and say, hey, I got a great product. Do you want to talk? And then people are much more likely to say, yes, let's talk and let's do this. And then they're much likely to start a test. In Germany, from experience, I know this takes a lot longer. You need a lot more trust. You need a lot more credentials and references
Mm-hmm.
for that initial proof of concept, minimum viable product, or even presentation to happen. So make sure you have great credentials and make sure you work with a good subset of trust enhancing factors like, hey, we both know this person, call that person or send them a message to know what I am. Because Germans don't trust what's on your website. They trust what other people are saying, that sort of that herd mentality. So make sure you have that and don't expect to go from first contact to sale like in the US within 2 weeks, but expect more like 6 to 12 months.
Okay. Even to mid-sized companies, like is there a way to avoid this and say I go to smaller companies and with the hopes that the sales process would be faster because I'm a startup, I will simply die in 12 months.
There is a chance that it can work, but it's still very tough, I think, especially then in smaller companies that are more risk averse, where you might be talking to the owner
Mm-hmm.
and it's her or his money.
Okay.
And then the typical German stinginess, we're cheap.
Okay. Okay.
That comes into just be patient, work with a lot of trust, work with references. Maybe don't write people directly, but look into who knows them and then get an intro.
Mm-hmm.
And please don't do like cold outreach with like an automated blah blah blah. That is very, very
Mm-hmm.
not cool here.
Okay.
Once I see an email that sort of looks like it has a template, either I press, hey, what the hell, or I press spam.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Anyone wants to join us with a question? That this is supposed to be a conversation because we know these things already. So, anyone who's looking at us, questions? No. Okay. So, whenever you do, please on the top right side, just click the button join and welcome to continue. So anyway, Mickey, on the fundraising side, how does it look from your view? Would it be better? What's your advice? Should a startup go for funding from Europe or from Israel?
I don't think, as an Israeli startup, I don't think that German investors will invest without a co-investment from an Israeli company. I think that would, like, if you're an Israeli company with the like VC industry we have here, if you go fundraise in Europe, in Germany, without an Israeli co-investor, it raises a red flag, I think. But once you have, some part of the investment coming from Israel, then the German investors are, happy to join, and they are looking for innovation. An anecdote: the only investor in my company whom I never met in person is a German investor, German angel investors. I've met
Nice.
all of my investors in person, spent hours with them, except that one guy where we only met on Zoom. This was very surprising to me, but he's a great guy and a great investor, and we're honored to have him. But yeah, this goes in contradiction with everything you hear about investors in general and German investors in particular.
Great. And Andreas, who just joined us, Andreas is with KTM. So Andreas, what's your take? Because you have been in touch with Israeli startups. Like, what's your take on how can we bridge the culture gaps? Any terrible no-go from you? You would say just don't do that?
No, not at all. Sorry, I hope this micro works really well. First of all, I wanted to reflect on your question. How to get faster in touch with a German-speaking, I'm Austrian, right? I'm not German, company. If you're a startup, right, and you said, in 6 to 12 months is too long, that's a really a tough question, right? It's really not that super easy to get super fast into talk with someone. The only thing I can suggest is be very, very direct and very honest about the technology you have, the benefit that it brings, and the state you're in. I think DACH countries and people, I think we have a great respect of Israelis and entrepreneurs and technology from Israel. I think we will actually be listening much closer to Israelis than many other places. However, we are, I think as Mark said, we don't like to be oversold, right? Absolutely not, right? So really be to the point and don't, and the one thing that is absolutely, I think that's very unique here together with Japan is our definition of quality, right? Nearly all companies, at least all the industrial companies here, the manufacturing companies in DACH, with our high costs, we can only win on the world market with high quality, and we expect really high quality everywhere. And it just doesn't cut it if it's just, half working, And I know this is one contentious area with Israeli companies where, it's startups, a lot of things are not quite ready, they're prototypes, right? You have a somewhat different level of quality. You're fine as soon as it kind of works. We are only fine if it absolutely guarantees it works, and works actually for 20 years, right? And you've got to understand that. And if you get this across, I think honestly, this helps a lot. Otherwise, my personal experience are fantastic. I love Israeli companies. I think there's a fantastic match, right? We have this sturdiness to quality and engineering and going to market. We err on the quality side. We'd rather come 5 years late than too early and not ready. And we actually may just miss all sorts of markets because of that, and that's pretty stupid, right? But that's how it is. So Israeli companies and Israelis that I've met, and I've met hundreds, I think, so far, who are typically very, very mentally flexible and fast thinkers and everything. I think are a fantastic match, right? If we only just get to talk actually, and nothing helps as much as meeting people, right? So I love being in Israel, and any Israeli who has not been in Europe yet and in DACH region, please take the chance to just come here and get to know people. You'll see how we're a little different, maybe a bit more serious, maybe a bit more sincere, bit slower maybe.
But Andreas, I just want to, as you're looking for stuff, just want to make clear you are open for virtual, because at the moment we are going out of lockdown. You seem to go into lockdown. Business has to continue, so you're open for a virtual dialogue.
Absolutely, we're completely open. We're open on in any aspect, be it the product, be it in production, supply chain for the products we produce, being in commerce, so everything how we market and sell, distribute, support, service the products we do globally, and the whole organization that does that, and all subsidiaries. We're wide open. We face challenges, as all of us, on the world market. We know we cannot just invent everything ourselves, right? We have core competencies, but everything outside of core competencies, we need, hundreds of technologies and partners literally to help us, become better, be more flexible, be faster in everything we do.
Great. So Andreas, let's stop you. Sorry, we have 1 more minute. So if anyone at the audience, of our listeners, wants to ask a question, you can also ask it over the chat if you like. So I'll do call 1, call 2, call 3. No. Okay. Mark, Vicky, Mark, Vicky, any last comment before we off to cook a Wiener Schnitzel?
No, now you got me hungry.
I got you hungry, huh? Okay. So guys,
And it's
thank
dessert
you.
before the main course. So.
And I'll see you after the lunch break, or networking break, call it whatever you want. And till soon.